Welcome to True Crime Garage. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Nick, and this guy behind the glass is the captain, and together we are the Wild Stallions.
Be excellent to each other. It's good to be seen, and it's good to see you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for telling a friend.
Today we are very proud to be featuring Swag Summer Wheat Ale by the incredible people at Black Hog Brewing Company. This is an American wheat ale brewed with organic grapefruit peel and fresh ground sage. ABV 4.7%, available in cans, and on the can is a majestic hog holding a grapefruit. Garage grade, a big 4 3/4 bottle caps out of 5. And today we are happy as hogs, thanks to our good garage friends right here. First up, a shout out and a big thank you to Britta and Marissa in Oxford, Connecticut.
And a big say-wee to Sally in Bluebell, Pennsylvania.
Next, let's throw a shout out way over the pond to Isabel and Paul in London.
And a big cheers, mates, to Sarah in Simi Valley, California.
Next up, we have Maggie C. and Ted C. in beautiful Parts Unknown. And last but not least, we have Demetria, who says, I like your jib and sending love from the great state of Texas. Well, we're sending love back to everybody out there who contributed to this week's beer fund.
And we like your jib. If you'd like to donate to us, go to our website, truecrimegarage.com, click on the donate banner, and also check out our store page. We have a lot of awesome shirts. We got some tank tops for the ladies for the summertime. Get those before they run out. We got a new color this week. So check that out at truecrimegarage.com. Also, check us out on the Stitcher app. It is free.
Yeah, if you want to listen to True Crime Garage 2015, 2016, 2017, 18, what have you. The Stitcher app is free, and we are on there, so go and get that now. That is enough of the business. Everybody gather around, grab a chair, grab a beer. Let's talk some true crime.
The family of Mackenzie Lueck has issued a statement.
Police are also providing new details about the last time the University of Utah senior was seen. Fox 13's Matt McDonald is live at Hatch Park in North Salt Lake tonight to explain. Matt, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you this. Hatch Park behind me is where Mackenzie Lueck asked to be taken and was dropped off by her Lyft driver 1 week ago tonight. Now, after looking at surveillance video from the area and talking to that Lyft driver, police believe she met someone there at 3 o'clock in the morning. 1:35 a.m., June 17th. Lueck's flight arrives in Salt Lake City. She'd been in California for a family funeral.
Early Monday morning, the 17th of June, when she texted her mother at 2:01 a.m. Mountain Time.
For more than an hour, she remained at the airport where surveillance cameras are everywhere.
We reviewed that tape, and we're not going to release that right now.
At 2:42 a.m., Mackenzie got into a Lyft car. At 2:59 in the morning, she arrived at her requested destination, Hatch Park in North Salt Lake.
Detectives have spoken with the Lyft driver and learned that Mackenzie was met at Hatch Park by an individual in a vehicle.
Police believe she met with the person at the park willingly. The make and the model of the car has not been determined. From here, Mackenzie disappeared.
Does Mackenzie have an alternate phone that she has used or is using? Who did Mackenzie meet in North Salt Lake City? Does Mackenzie have any social media accounts we don't know about?
One more question police are trying to answer. Does she want to be found?
She has no obligation to call the police department or anyone else and say, here's where I went.
Chris Burbank is a former Salt Lake City police chief. He says police are doing the right thing, calling Lueck missing, but not necessarily in danger.
In this circumstance, it would certainly be tragic if this young woman is in fact in danger and we didn't do enough.
Late this afternoon, the Looock family issued a statement. It reads in part, "Our primary goal is to find Mckenzie and bring her home. Her family is grateful for the concern, prayers, and the tireless efforts of the Salt Lake City Police and members of the community." Salt Lake City Police have set a dedicated tip line just for this case. You can find that phone number on our website. Matt McDonald, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Matt, thank you. As we just mentioned, Mackenzie Lueck is a senior at the University of Utah. A spokesperson for the school says the U is deeply concerned about her well-being.
The dean of students at the university has been in contact with her parents and has expressed, our desire to the campus community for her safe return and offering whatever support we can.
Nelson went on to say the university is cooperating with police. The school is also offering counseling to students and staff who may need someone to talk to.
In the trailer there, that is Fox News 13 out of Utah. This story was and remains big news. This is the missing persons case of Mackenzie Lueck. And as you heard there, just after 1 week, detectives in Salt Lake have what looks to be some promising leads and an interesting timeline. Mackenzie Lueck was born in El Segundo, California in 1995. She grew up there with 3 brothers, and her parents are Greg and Diana Lueck. She attended El Segundo High School and played on the water polo team. After high school, she went off to the University of Utah, where she studied nursing and other studies. She's a member of the Alpha Chi Omega sorority. She worked for some time at a Starbucks and then at another coffee shop, but per her LinkedIn account, she more recently was working at PRA Health Sciences Lab in Mill Creek, Utah. Even though she was living in another state and busy with her studies and worked, she maintained a very close relationship with her parents and both sets of grandparents. Sadly, last month, funeral services were held in California for Mackenzie's grandmother. For this, she flew home. After a brief stay, she returned to Utah. The night of June 16th, she took a red-eye flight from Los Angeles to Salt Lake City, arriving in Salt Lake at 1:35 a.m. In Salt Lake, she texted her mother at 2:01 a.m., letting her know that she arrived safely. She waited to collect her luggage from the baggage claim, and then using the Lyft app, she scheduled a ride to pick her up at the airport. There are security cameras everywhere in the airport, and she can be seen texting, waiting on her bags, and walking through the airport. At no time is she seen talking to anyone. The Lyft vehicle picks her up at the airport at 2:42 a.m. Now, we know 23-year-old Mackenzie Lueck is later reported as missing, and unfortunately, this is really starting to sound like a terrible tragedy, like so many stories that we have heard before. Recent stories of young women getting into a vehicle from a car service and then going missing. We've seen this movie before, and unfortunately, we know how it's going to end, and the ending is a bad one. But very quickly, we can move on from that theory, because we get news that the Salt Lake City PD, they start looking into Mackenzie's life and her internet and social media activity. Digital detectives sifting through data. We learn a few very important key elements to this case. One, law enforcement, they know who the Lyft driver is, and they speak with this driver. And two, there's evidence to suggest that Mackenzie was delivered by the Lyft driver to a location of her choosing and arrived at this location unharmed.
Would have that data from the Lyft driver to let us know where her final destination was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so from the information collected through her phone and the Lyft app and the eyewitness statements given to police from the Lyft driver, here is what we learn. Mackenzie did not schedule for the car service to take her home. She requested a drop-off at Hatch Park. This location is in North Salt Lake City and located 20 minutes from Mackenzie's home, which is near Trolley Square. She arrived at Hatch Park at 2:59 a.m. The Lyft driver says Mckenzie was very obviously, she was meeting someone there.
Right.
Now, as far as I could find, the Lyft driver's identity has not been released. I think in the beginning of this whole thing, that may have thrown some more suspicion in the public's eye toward the driver, but the driver tells police Mckenzie was meeting someone, and whoever it was, Mckenzie got into that other car willingly. The description of the vehicle of the person or persons she was meeting is reported as unavailable, but it could just be that the Lyft driver was unable to provide one to law enforcement.
You'd think you would at least know what kind of car she got into, whether or not even what brand of car, but like, was it a sedan? Was it an SUV?
Yeah, he or she, the driver, probably gave a very vague description, would be my guess. They're looking to move on to their next drive, looking to pick up their next fare.
Right.
But again, through information deduced...
Right, but hold on. You're meeting people at a park. This is not a normal drop-off. You know, most of the time people are picking somebody up from the airport, maybe driving them to their car, picking somebody up from the airport, driving them back to their house. We're talking about probably a very small percent that at 3 o'clock in the morning is picking up a young female and driving her to a park to meet somebody.
I would guess, yeah, incredibly small, if not zero. This might be the first of its kind.
Right.
Again, through information deduced from data on Mackenzie's phone, we learn even more after texting her parents after she arrived in Salt Lake City. Mckenzie was texting someone else. She's texting 31-year-old Aola Ajayi. And the police quickly figure out that both Mackenzie's phone and Ajayi's phone are pinging and are in close proximity. And their location is both Hatch Park. This is at 3 a.m. on June 17th, 2019.
Right, so this gives us some evidence that she's texting, one, this individual, but two, this is probably the person that she's going to meet up with.
Yes. Police speak with Ajayi, and going into this, they know he was communicating via text and likely through other means as well with Mckenzie. Ajayi does not deny communications with Mckenzie. However, he says he last texted her at 6 p.m. The investigators have different information, proof that Mckenzie texted Ajayi at 2:58 a.m. Now, remember, per Lyft, she was dropped off at 2:59 a.m., just 1 minute after that text. And her phone and Ajayi's phone are in very close proximity and in Hatch Park at 3 a.m. So,
right, but just to play devil's advocate, she's texting him. Do they have evidence that he's texting her back after 6 p.m.?
That I don't know. The only thing that I could find reported was that she texted Ajayi at 2:58 a.m. And again, it's no coincidence. There's no defense here. It's she's texting him, and then 1 minute later, she's dropped off, and both their phones are in Hatch Park at that time. So this is where you go, okay, we might have a got him moment. But it's the problem here that they're going to run into, and they don't arrest Ajayi after talking with him, and we'll get into that in a bit. But the other thing here that we need to go through is what law enforcement knows that took place shortly after Mckenzie arrived at Hatch Park. At some point, her phone is turned off. And once police started looking for Mckenzie, they announced that they had no known activity from her regarding her cell phone or internet. As they put it, her cell phone is not ringing, no calls, no email, no social media, nothing.
Right.
Just like we heard in the trailer, they have former Salt Lake City police chief talking there. And what he's saying is that at this time in the investigation, yes, she is missing, but the question is she in danger?
Right. So we have evidence that her phone is obviously there. We have evidence from the Lyft driver that he took her to the park. But once that phone is turned off, we're not going to get any more pings.
No,
right?
Not from her. So what they are looking for at this point in the investigation, they very publicly say this. They're saying, hey, look, not only do we need your help in locating this missing individual, but we would like to know if anybody out there is aware of her having a second cell phone that we are unaware of.
Right.
Or if she has some social media accounts that we are currently unaware of, or if there's anything that she would have under a different name regarding internet or social media.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the problem here is very simply this, that at that state in the investigation, yes, Mckenzie is missing, but is she in fact in danger? Because police are very suspicious of this guy that they've talked to. But Mckenzie missing is technically not a crime, and without evidence that she was abducted, there's really no crime to charge this man with. But that's not going to stop law enforcement from getting a search warrant to search this man's home and property.
Right. It's not like Mckenzie went running in the park and we just never seen her. She's an adult. She was meeting another adult. She has every right to do so. She has every right to turn off her phone. So who knows where she's at.
Mm-hmm. And the thing here, too, is they don't really understand, they being law enforcement. They can't get any confirmation from anybody in Mckenzie's close life of why she would be speaking to this man that law enforcement is suspicious of. They don't know what the connection is between the two of them.
Well, you're going to find this more and more with social media. There's a lot of people that have kind of like pen pals online, you know, friends online, but you might not know each other in person.
I think, so we have a bunch of reasons here why I think they're able to get this search warrant fairly easily. It looks like it's probably for a multitude of reasons, but of those, some quick ones to point out is, first, Ajayi's story is not lining up with the facts that law enforcement know to be true regarding this whole timeline.
Right.
Remember, his texting timeline is significantly off from what he's telling them to what they can prove, what they can see on paper.
So are they able to go, I don't know this answer, maybe you do. Are they able to go to a judge and say, we have evidence that this individual was texting this other individual, and when we ask them about it, they are lying? Does that give them some kind of probable cause?
Exactly. That's exactly what it gives them. They are going to get a probable cause search warrant for this man's property. Now, keep in mind, whatever they've released to the public is probably a much shorter version of what they know and what they're holding on to. Where you asked if did Ajayi text her after the time that he said that they last communicated.
Right.
They know that if he did or did not. They're not choosing to release that information.
Bet money he did.
His story is very plain and simple. The last time I texted with her was 6 p.m. the day before, and what they have released publicly is they're saying at 2:58 a.m. she texts you.
Right.
So that's, your story's off there to begin with. But then on top of that, this is what's even more disturbing, is they have neighbors of his that come forward, and they say he was out burning something in his backyard on June 17th and June 18th and using gasoline to burn whatever it was that he was burning. And on top of that, he also denied knowing what Mckenzie even looked like and denies viewing her social media profile picture, but they found at least one of those photos on his phone.
His neighbors are coming out and saying, because she goes missing the early morning of June 17th. Neighbors come out and say he's burning something on June 17th and 18th.
Yes, in his backyard using gasoline. So it's with that information, probably with some more information that we are unaware of, that they are able to secure this probable cause warrant to search his home and property. They don't make any buts about it. I think the words that they used, they being law enforcement, was, we believe that his home, his property, is the nexus of this case. Is where this missing persons case is going to lead us. And we believe, not only do we believe we should get a warrant for there, we believe we're going to find something of significance there.
Right.
Which they do. They found within the ashes of whatever he was burning, they found some of her, like, remains of some of her belongings, as well as some flesh remains from Mckenzie, which they do the proper testing on this, and they confirm very quickly through DNA that whatever those remains were came from Mackenzie Lueck.
Right.
So who is this Ajayi guy? Who is this creep? Well, he's not 100% unknown to law enforcement. He's somebody that has been accused of rape in the past, although the charges were dropped. Ajayi joined the Army National Guard, but apparently never attended any type of training. So even though he signed up, he was never really...
He never joined. He just signed up.
Right. That's the wording that should be used there.
Kind of like me and gym memberships.
After this, he started studying computer science at Utah State University, but never graduated, according to the college records that are provided to this newspaper that I'm reading from. The thing here is his life really takes a turn, and this is in 2014. When
a lot of people that study computer, their lives take turns.
Well, this is when he became the suspect in a rape investigation.
Yeah.
And this is from the North Park Police Department. The investigation itself was halted. It was dropped because eventually this woman decided to not press charges. I've seen some sources that say that Ajayi was not allowed on the campus for either months or years after the fact.
Right.
I don't know how that plays into that whole scenario, but that could 100% play into him not ever graduating from the school.
Right.
According to the Salt Lake Tribune, Ajayi's LinkedIn profile indicated that he worked in IT for companies like Dell and Microsoft. His account has since been deactivated. So it seems to me like he was working in tech support or IT, some form of that, at the time of this case.
Mm-hmm.
He's also an author, publishing a crime novel called Forge Identity. This he published last year, and according to Goodreads, the novel is about a man drawn to crime after witnessing gruesome murders at age 15. Do not anybody go out and buy that book. I think you can. There are ways to purchase that book online, but let's not give this guy anything credit for anything at all, because we're going to learn that this is a terrible, terrible individual. He is, because of what they found on his property, he is arrested and placed into custody regarding these items in this evidence.
When they arrest him, are they charging him with Mackenzie's murder?
Ajayi has been charged with aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, and obstruction of justice.
So other than this evidence, I guess in his fire pit.
Well, okay, so there's a couple things going on there from the different sources that I pulled.
Yeah.
Some sources indicate that there was ground that was freshly dug. I don't know if these items were burned and then placed in the ground, or, partially placed in the ground. Sometimes people bury ashes or place them elsewhere. It feels like that these items that they collected may have come from that ground and or his burn site, let's call it, his fire pit out in his backyard.
So he tried to burn stuff, remove it from whatever fire pit, and then bury it.
Correct. And there's a lot more to learn about this sick individual. We'll get to that right after this quick beer break.
If there is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals, BetterHelp Online Counseling can help. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who specialize in issues such as depression, anxiety, relationships, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, and more. Connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. And get help at your own time and at your own pace. Everything that you share is confidential, and it's so convenient. You can schedule a secure video or phone session, as well as chat and text with your therapist. And for some reason, if you're not happy with your counselor, though, you can request a new one at any time for no additional charge. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. True Crime Garage listeners even get 10% off your first month with discount code GARAGE. So why not get started today? Go to betterhelp.com/garage, then simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. That's betterhelp.com/garage.
Did you know that only 1 in 5 homes have home security? Maybe that's because companies really don't make it easy. That's why Simply Safe is my top choice, hands down. Simply Safe protects every door, window, and room with 24/7 professional monitoring. And they make it easy on you. There's no contract, no hidden fees, or fine print. Prices are always fair and honest. In fact, around-the-clock monitoring is just $15 a month. But the thing that truly makes Simply Safe stand out is their video verification technology. When other home security systems are triggered, police often assume it's a false alarm, and the call goes to the bottom of the list. But not with Simply Safe. Using their video verification technology, they are able to visually confirm that the break-in is happening, allowing police to get to the scene 3.5 times faster. Visit simplysafe.com/garage to get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. You've got nothing to lose. Now be sure to go to simplysafe.com/garage so they know our show sent you. That's simplysafe.com/garage.
Away offers high-quality luggage at a much lower price by cutting out the middleman and selling directly to you. Choose from 9 colors and 4 sizes, the carry-on, the bigger carry-on, both of which are compliant with all major U.S. airlines, the medium or the large.
All suitcases are made with premium German polycarbonate, which is lightweight and unrivaled in strength and impact resistance. And the 360-degree spinner wheels guarantee a smooth ride. Best of all, both sizes of the carry-on are able to charge anything that is powered by a USB cord. And thanks to their lifetime warranty, if anything breaks, Away will fix or replace it. Try it for 100 days, and if at any point you decide it's not for you, return it for a full refund, no questions asked. Both me and the captain love our Away luggage. I have the medium, and I have the large. I love that I can charge my phone or tablet while I'm at the airport. And you've heard me talk about it before. I love the 360-degree spinner wheels. I move so quickly through the airport.
What's amazing about Away luggage is I've had mine for now over a year. I've taken several trips, and it still looks brand new. You need to check this out. For $20 off a suitcase, visit awaytravel.com/garage20 and use promo code garage20 during checkout. That's awaytravel.com/garage20 and use promo code garage20 for $20 off a suitcase. All right. Cheers, mates.
Cheers, Captain. Well, the Salt Lake City Police Chief Mike Brown said in a news conference that he was, quote, relieved and grief-stricken to report that Mackenzie Lueck's body was recovered. This was in Logan Canyon, about 85 to 90 miles north of Salt Lake City, north of Ajayi's property as well. And investigators were subsequently able to forensically confirm that it was the body of Mackenzie Lueck. She, from the very brief descriptions I could find, of course, there was some evidence that the body or portions of the body had attempted to been burned at some point, and her hands were found bound behind her, tied behind her. Mm-hmm. So what's unclear here is if, in fact, Ajayi led them to this location, because it seems to be quite a ways away from the space that they were looking at. But we do know that he was arrested. We do know that they found her body. It would seem to me that they probably turned the screws on him and they were able to get him to bring forth some information. He was also eventually charged with desecration of a body. This charge may have been added after, in fact, finding her body. He is currently being held without bail. I couldn't find a price for his bond. It looks like they're not going to let that even be an option here for this case.
Well, this is so recent that there's still developments happening. As we speak, there was developments yesterday.
Yes, this was his first court appearance where he appeared via video. He was still located in the jail, and he was not required to give a plea or actually say anything during that court proceeding. It's a little confusing as to what's going on. I mean, this was just yesterday that he had his first court appearance. We also don't have information regarding, because police have not released a motive for the killing.
Right.
I think, you and I, having done this for a long time, and listeners listening to the show, you don't have to, it doesn't take a great imagination to come up with a possible motive here. But they've also not released how the two first came into contact with each other. Because this wasn't, as you said, this wasn't Mackenzie Lueck. She went and was jogging in a park and Ajayi grabbed her up and abducted her. She was going to this Hatch Park to meet with him. So there was some type of relationship, friendship, or something going on there for her to meet him in the park that night. And it wasn't something that she was sharing with her friends or family, because, again, per police statements to the public, they were unaware,
right,
that there was any type of reason for her to know this 31-year-old man. Yeah. Where I think this is terrible to say, because this is such a horrible thing for her family and such a tragedy, and it just really a horrific individual that carried out whatever took place.
Mm-hmm.
But in some way, I really strongly feel that there has been a bullet that has been dodged here. And I say that because of some information that came out regarding Ajayi. This was from a contractor. Ajayi apparently hired a contractor
mm-hmm.
to come out to his house and to look at a space that he wanted to have outfitted. He wanted this space to be a soundproof secret room. And within this soundproof secret room, he wanted hooks. And the contractor says these hooks he wanted them above head height, were his words. The contractor found all of this to be very strange and weird, and it really didn't want any part of it. So the contractor was smart enough to ask some questions. What is this secret room for? Who needs a secret room? To which Ajayi explains that he says, I need a room to hide alcohol, booze, and wine from my girlfriend who's very religious. And the contractor wanted to know.
Makes zero sense.
Well, I don't know that it makes zero sense, but it doesn't go along with a secret room.
Well, it doesn't go
soundproof room.
Right. I don't mind the secret room. What I have a problem with is when you go, yeah, I just want to put some booze, maybe some weed in there, to hide it.
It's a bad lie that he had to come up with.
It's the soundproof. Yes, it's the soundproof.
Yeah, because the wine bottles aren't down there going, he's drinking us.
Depends on how much you're drinking.
He wanted one of those thumbprint locks on the outside, so only he could enter it. So think about that for a second. Thumbprint lock. That's not like, that's so 100% like, oh, I can't accidentally leave the key lying around and somebody stumble into this room, or I can't accidentally write down the combination and somebody discover the combination and decide that they're going to go and access this room. They're going to have my thumb to get into this soundproof secret room. The other horrible, terrifying thing to think about too is the hooks that he wanted.
That's for meat. That's for the meat.
He wanted them placed above what the contractor said was head height. So the contractor says, well, what the hell are you going to use these hooks for? To which Ajayi explains.
Could you imagine being this guy, being the contractor?
Oh, man. I mean,
I want some hooks. Where at? A little bit above head height.
Well, we just talked on Off the Record this week about the company that was going to come out and clean a car, and they find a bunch of blood in the car.
Yeah,
it's this weird thing. Ajayi. So regarding the hooks, the contractor's like, look, these hooks look terrible. 1, and 2, I don't know why anybody would need them to be this height. So what the hell are these hooks for? And Ajayi says that he wants to hang wine racks on the hooks so he can put, wine bottles on the wine rack. The contractor, this seems to be like the deal breaker where
they lied and said, that's for meats. She doesn't eat meat either. I got to hide the meat.
Well, this seems to be the deal breaker for the contractor because, of course, he's suspicious and weirded out by this whole project to begin with.
Yeah.
But when he hears, oh, you want to use the hooks for wine racks, the contractor just says, look, instead of putting up these hooks, I'll just put wine racks up for you. To which Ajayi's like, no, I'm going to get the hooks and then I'll do the wine racks myself. And so the contractor turns down the job. He's like, I don't want any part of whatever this is that's going on. It sounds to me like this took place months ago. Okay.
Yeah, but hold on a second. So Ajayi's, right? That's how you say his name.
Ajayi.
Ajayi. He had Ajayi was married at one point, and his ex-wife claims that he slashed her with a knife. But it also states here that Ajayi's home was a Airbnb since 2016.
Yeah, and to which, oddly enough, he is quoted as being an intelligent, respectful, nice host for the Airbnb.
That's that makes me never want to stay in an Airbnb ever again, unless they want to sponsor some episodes, and then I'll say differently. But he offered accommodations in the basement of his home.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right next door to the soundproof wine room.
Well, and he did have a roommate for some time as well, and I believe this was after his marriage. I wonder, regarding the rape allegations, if that's why the marriage fell apart, or if there was abuse or other things going on within that whole scenario. I don't know. He's a weird individual and a scary individual, and that's why I say I think even though we have this horrible tragedy, and it saddens me to my core, what happened with this young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. This was a promising young lady. She was doing a lot of the right things. She maintained a close relationship with her parents and grandparents, even living in another state.
Right.
This was a good girl. And
right, but
even though this ended in tragedy and horribly, and as I said, it saddens me to my core, a bullet was dodged in the sense that this guy, in my opinion, I know that these are just
getting started.
These are just alleged charges at this point. You know, these are just charges. He's not actually been found guilty. He looks really freaking guilty to me, and I'm sure to everybody else out there. This was a budding serial killer. This was, like you said, early stages. This is what this guy, I think, was pursuing.
This doesn't mean it was the first one either. We don't know. I mean,
that's a very good point.
You got this guy setting himself up, but let's do an Airbnb in my home. Let's set up this secret room that's soundproof. He's on a lot of these meetup sites too. Is he on these meetup sites? And that's the look, cautionary tale, surprise, surprise. Anybody can be whoever they want to be online.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a bunch of pictures where he is in his army uniforms. And so what's strange is I don't know how much he did in the army.
Well, you know what? I should be clear here. I'm looking through my notes, and I do have, it says after several months of service. I don't know what that means because I have other sources saying that he was never trained, that he never technically did anything for the National Guard. So I don't know exactly what that means, but yeah, you're right. The pictures of him in his uniform.
Well, think about this. You got this guy that is telling you, hey, on one site he's saying, I'm a gym rat. I was in the army, right? I'm a buff guy. I'm a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Just these simple things that you can put out there on these dating sites or meetup sites. And all you have to do is be able to come up with a couple decent lies, and then you just have to come up with some decent pictures to back up some of those lies, and that's kind of enough to get your foot in the door. That gets you texting somebody, and I think that's kind of what he did. And I mean, look, he has a self-published book on Amazon called Forged Identity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, is this a precursor, like that he's just going to be, creating whatever identity he wants. And therefore, like I said, that gets you in the door. And then people will become vulnerable because here is this young lady that does not know who she's meeting.
Mm-hmm.
All she can base it off of is
shit information that he provided her.
Right. Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's not facts. It's shit information. It's stuff he came up with or however he chooses to present himself. One case that has and will always fascinate me, but I don't care what anybody says out there, it would be the chances of it being solved, I think, are so slim to none that I'm willing to go and say 0% here. But the Jack the Ripper case is one that that I get wrapped up into it for a few weeks or a few months every year. I get pulled back in. I think I'm out, and then they pull me back in. But one thing that I've always tried to point out to anybody when, there's websites and books that you can go to regarding the Ripper case where they'll list as many as 30 or 40, maybe even 50 potential suspects. But a huge problem that you have with that case is back in the 1800s, even though this was the late 1800s, in a lot of places in this world, you were whoever you said you were. Right. It wasn't like you had to walk around and show documentation in three forms of ID. Yeah. If I walked into an English pub in 1888 and said that I'm John Brown,
mm-hmm.
that's who I was. and I could live under that assumed name for a long period of time. In a sense, that's similar to what we're looking at here. He's on the internet. Who knows what websites or how that they connected at any point, but in a sense, he could have just been whoever he said he was to her or to anybody else out there.
Well, and also, like, I mean, just with social media, it's not even just meetup sites, but you hashtag something. So you start working out, you hashtag, fitness, whatever. People start following you. There's several people that, I follow online or they follow me online, and we don't know each other. I'm not meeting up this person. I'm not going to meet up with this person at 3 a.m. That is risky behavior. If you're going to meet up with somebody that you haven't met, even like with online dating, it's like meet at a public place. Meet up with friends. What's so wrong with that? But I think we have kind of two things going on now. We have, who people think we are in real life and our friends and family and blah, blah, blah. And then we have this other world online. And that too many times is actually kept a secret from the real world. And I'm sure now that they have her phone and they have, or they're able to get into these social networks, that the police are going to be able to find other things that they're connected with. But it's a cautionary tale. You need, if you're speaking with people online and you plan on meeting them, maybe tell some people,
Well, and the other thing too is it's very obvious whatever was going on there that Mckenzie and Ajayi did not have the same understanding of what that meeting was for. Okay. Mckenzie didn't know what this guy had planned, had no clue who this guy was. And when we say that law enforcement has not released how they believe the two were connected or what the motive for these crimes were, it may just be as simple as this individual, Ajayi, is a sadist, is a homicidal maniac, and that he was a budding serial killer. I think that everything points to that, and that is the motive is he's an evil individual, and he was looking to kill somebody, and he was looking to kill a woman, in my opinion. Yeah. And we can say, look, there's some connection to the victim and the murderer, but in a sense, what he's doing is he's trying to go out there and secure a stranger, because we all know that stranger on stranger crimes are very difficult for investigators.
Well, it's like Bruce MacArthur up in Canada.
Right.
It's the same type of thing, but it's very similar to Dahmer. Mm-hmm. Similar to Bundy as well.
Yeah, just a different method of securing a stranger who's going to be your victim, who you're going to victimize.
Right, back in the day, like you said, you could walk into a bar. Who are you? You're John Brown. You can be whoever the freak you want to be, right? Mm-hmm. And now you can do that online. So it's a place for predators, and you have to be careful. And I can't say this enough, that everybody needs to be on the understanding that there's always going to be a motive when there's a female involved, and when there's a female victim. You don't, like you said, you don't have to look too far to figure out what the motive possibly was, and you got to be careful. You have to protect yourself. You have to tell your friends what's going on. You got to tell people who you're talking to. And if you think this guy is cute and you want to meet up with him, say, hey, I'm going to bring a couple of my friends. You bring a couple of your friends. Let's meet up at a bar. If they don't want to do that, screw them. Not worth your time.
Well, and remember when we interviewed John Douglas, what he was saying is, in his opinion, most of these guys, and when he's saying these guys, he's referring to serial offenders and serial killers that he has interviewed.
Real pieces of
He says
shit.
he says that in his opinion, what most of these guys want is to be able to hold their victim captive for a long period of time. And most of the time the result is murder because they don't have that ability or cannot do that for whatever reason.
Right.
This is no different than what we saw with the Jamie Kloss case.
Yeah.
Where she was held captive for a long period of time. That's what Ajayi was attempting to do with the secret soundproof room accessed only by a thumbprint lock and hooks on the walls above head height. So he's a scary individual that was apprehended not early enough. It's a little, I mean, it's very disturbing, and I wish he really would have got brought up on charges of rape. I don't know what fully made that case fall apart, but I just worry that even if he would have done some time for that, he would have come out and picked up where he left off.
Yeah, he had an agenda, and that agenda was going to happen.
And I hope they're strongly looking into this guy's background and his whereabouts, and if he has could be connected to anything else, because what little we know about this guy is very scary. The attempting of building this secret room, the abduction of a young woman.
Well, here's what we do know.
And then the concealing, going through all that efforts to conceal the remains.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing. Somehow this guy manipulated his way into a situation where he's meeting somebody that, for all we know, this is the first time they met, at a park very late at night, and she's going to get into his car. He can control that situation. Her body's then found pretty far from his property. You wonder, and like you said, discarding of some of the evidence, you just kind of wonder, it's like, is this his first time?
Right. And that's why I say I think you're onto something there, and I hope that they really look strongly into his background. And if he is currently talking, see what else you can get him to talk about.
Yeah, and I have a little suggestion. I think they should make a little room and put hooks a little bit higher than head height. Stick him on the hooks. Get him talking. Maybe he can confess to something that he did prior, or some of the sick thoughts he's been having, and this guy should never be let out of jail.
No, he is somebody that, regardless of if he's done or been guilty of anything before what took place last month, he's somebody that should never, ever be let out of prison. This guy will always be a threat if he is in society. Simply Safe is my top choice for home security, hands down. In part because Simply Safe offers around-the-clock professional monitoring for just $15 a month. There's no contract, no hidden fees, plus prices are always fair and honest. But the thing that truly makes Simply Safe stand out is their video verification technology, which allows them to visually confirm that a break-in is happening, so police get to the scene 3.5 times faster. Visit simplysafe.com/garage to get free shipping and a 60-day risk-free trial. That's simplysafe.com/garage. simplysafe.com/garage.
Whatever struggles you're facing, from depression, anxiety to trauma and grief, BetterHelp can connect you with a professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, as well as chat and text with your therapist, and anything that you share is completely confidential. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. True Crime Garage listeners even get 10% off your first month with discount code GARAGE. So why not get started today? Simply go to betterhelp.com/garage and fill out a questionnaire to get matched with a counselor you'll love today.
Join us back here in the garage tomorrow for a new case. Until then, be good, be kind, and don't litter.